Welcome back to Evolve Songwriting, everybody. My name is Jake. This is where we break down songs, listen to music with songwriting in mind. Today, you might notice something different. We have a special guest, Mr. Martin Case, good friend and colleague of mine. Thought we'd try something new, and just this guy is just a wealth of wisdom, musically, personally, and I think he's got a lot to offer this channel. So it's my pleasure to have him on board today, and we're going to be listening and reacting to 3 songs from the new boygenius record, The Record. Martin does not know who this band is, who these people are. He's never heard the songs before. I have listened to this new boygenius record once, so each song, and that was when it came out a few weeks ago. So I'm not going to be pure in my reaction, but I'm really keen to see what Martin thinks of this band. So for some info for you, it's 3 women.
Okay.
Each have their own individual careers, and they made a band called boygenius. That's all I'm going to say. Very short record, so we've only got 3 songs to listen to. Before we get into it, please, if you want, you can subscribe down below. That way you get the new videos fresh to your inbox. And please also join the Discord community in the description as well. That way you can sort of follow up and chat with us beyond the video. But yeah, without further ado, I think let's get into it. This is boygenius, The Record, with Martin Case. First up, track number 1, we have $20. This is performed by 3 of them. So Julian Baker, Lucy Dacus, and Phoebe Bridges are the 3 women. Written by the 3 of them, and this is produced by boygenius, Catherine Marks, Ethan Gruska, Melina Duterte, Sarah Tudson, and Tony Berg. Lots of producers.
That's a lot of producers.
What are you expecting?
It's interesting because you have 3 individual songwriters and it sounds like 4 or 5 producers. So it's really a collaborative project. And since there's 3 of them built like that, it'll be interesting to see the synthesis of how all of these people interacted.
Sweet. Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
It's a bad lie. Give me one more chance and then I'll finally had it. When you wake up, I'll be gone again.
Straight into the on-time signature, eh? I love it. Just got that real solid. I love how their vocal melodies, like, it's
Mi,
good.
do, mi, do. So the key's in D, and they're bouncing between D and F sharp, right?
Yeah.
That's that big, strong.
The doorbell.
Mi, do, mi, do. So that interesting line, it's mi, 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 do, sol, la, do. They're using the pentatonic scale to drive home that bass line.
Yeah.
1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 1. Okay, so there's a little 5/4 in there, 3/2 mix.
Just making it right.
Using that snare just to tease us a little bit.
Well, they got a lot of rhythmic value, which is interesting. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they're going from a straight rock rhythm to a 6/8.
Didn't pick that up, actually.
See, right now it's just straight, but it feels straight, but it can be implied that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Listen to the harmony change.
4 forward.
Yeah, that,
2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3.
But their vocals are nicely, like, just really sort of over everything.
Yeah, it's a 6/4, 6/8 feel that they're going for. That gives it that vibe, which is very rare in contemporary music.
It's getting a lot more
Beauty is that
popular.
which is rare, because that's why we attracted to it, because they don't hear it enough. Picks up the energy, digs it in.
Just some screaming.
So now they double the 6/8. So 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it's triple it. Gets it working up, uses distortion rather than harmonies to give you this vibe with the harmonics. Yeah, so now you have the guitar doing that over, kind of like not a polyrhythm, but like the 16th, 8 things going on. And the drums just driving home the quarter. You've got this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you've got triplet, then triplet, triplet,
Yeah,
triplet.
it's
Then
good
they
mix.
finally go triplet, 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 and they're flying.
Yeah.
And the chords, like the bass thing, there's mi, do, sol, la, do, right? So that's driving you really into the pentatonic. They're not using the second. Now, how I like to speak is in solfege. I go mi, do, sol, la, do, right?
I'm not going to need this. You're doing it over.
Well, if I'm speaking in solfege, what can happen is now I can go mi, do, sol, la, do, mi, do, sol, la, do. You can move it to any key instantly in your head if you think solfege. Now, I was expecting them to go to the relative minor. This doesn't sound like this, even though it's the same note. So it's really profound, and it's a common songwriting thing to do. And what they're using for chords here is they're pretty much staying between the 1. When they want tension, they move to the 4, and they give you that 5, which contains the same note, that 5th, so that goes into the 1. Most of the power and the intensity here is in the instrumentation, obviously in the voice, because that's devastating.
Just genuinely
you can
screaming
see the eyes
into the
rolling
mic,
back, right? And also just really, really intelligent use of it's moving without moving. The tempo stays exactly the same, but by
keys the same, tempo is the same.
Yeah, but by putting in these different kind of rhythms, you know what I mean, where you're talking about the triplet going in and then doubling the triplet,
and it's like very much like journey like this, like it's zoom, like it's an exponential growth at the end of that.
What's fun is you've got to be careful using esoteric tools. It's a pop song. It's supposed to be popular. So in other words, you want people to relate to it. But if you can use theory, whether it's rhythmic theory or harmonic theory, at a point where you really feel it. In other words, you're not showing off what you can do, but you've done it so many times that it's in your heart. Only because we're sitting here analyzing it that I sit there and go, oh, that's a 5/4 thing. That's interesting. Think about it by 2. But if I had just listened to the piece, I wouldn't have noticed that. I would have just been in an ecstatic state because it clicked me out of what I was used to. The brain lights up when you listen to music if you're a non-musician, right? With this kind of like sensuality and joy. And it happens to us musicians as well.
Yeah.
The problem with musicians is as we progress, we need more sophisticated music to light that part up.
Yeah.
Because now you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So in order to get that same kind of rush from listening to music, that's why when you're young, you listen to this. And then when you're older, you're listening to why.
Yeah. I feel like that rush can just come from new sounds. And that's what the digital age has created.
And I think that's underdefined in our world right now. Yeah. You know, a lot of times I'll be playing and I need a different sound to move me. One of the classic things I do is I'll put on a string patch, but then I'll put a piano patch under it. So I get that warmth and sensuality, but I also have that sharp attack, so I know what I'm doing. It's easy to teach notes and chords, like, okay, there's the 1, there's the relative minor, all right, this is a, sharp 9, all that kind of stuff. But we don't really have a real strong vocabulary as far as, okay, these are the sonic landscapes that you can create and the tools that you can create.
Which is almost infinite these days.
But to address it so that you can look at it as more of a palette, and then you get to play with the different spices in the kitchen. But I do think those are underrated on how things move. The thing that drove the tune, that transcends all of this kind of analysis, is that the sounds that they're using and the passion of the woman's voice.
Yeah, I think a lot of it
around that.
We all understand that through vocalists.
Yes.
That's because that's like the ultimate unique sound that you can't replace that. And I think these 3 women together have realized that like they have a very specific combination of that. And anyone will, in any band, any group, flavor.
You just want to look, especially if you're doing 3 singers and 5 producers, is you can kind of have a democratic process of, okay, this song sings to so-and-so, and their heart sings it. There's kind of a hierarchy how I break things down. Okay, let me get centered and find out what the key is. And then I instantly start exploring. Most songs are built on the pentatonic scale, believe it or not. And most songs are built on your 1, 4, 5 chords. And if I ever heard the tune go dark, which it didn't here, it stayed passionate.
There was one. I'll take
I think it went to I think it went to the relative minor.
That one. That one.
Here, pause it. Don't hold me on this, okay? But I think what they did is they want to keep it still happy. And so my thing is this, I think they actually dropped down to the flat 7.
I think so.
Yeah, you think so too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and which gives you a Mixolydian sound, which I think is
it's still...
It's major, but it's got a little bit... a little
Yeah.
bit of a punch to it, like a little
Yeah.
bit of realism,
Yeah.
and a little bit of power.
Awesome. All right. Let's move on to the next track.
Let's move to the next track.
Okay, so track number 2 is Emily, I'm Sorry. I don't know what she did, but this is written by the same crew and I believe produced by the same crew. Yep. So we'll see if we get something similar. Emily, I'm Sorry. Explicit warning for the kids.
Oh, serious? Okay.
That's nice. There's a lot more people using these rubber bridge guitars.
She's asleep.
So they're changing the bridge for a rubber. Gives you that real dead.
Peaceful.
I wouldn't have thought of that. See, that's where I'm not a guitarist.
Yeah.
That's good vocabulary.
Yeah.
Inside
A lot more presence on the vocals here too. She's right up there. A bit more airy.
moments when I pointed out where the North Star is.
You always get that movement without movement with the 1/4 alternation, right? I love it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, this is really beautiful.
It's beautiful. And and that melodic phrase, "doo-doo-doo," like it's used as like a cadence into a build and to sort of prep you for the layers that are to come. I love it.
No, I'm highly impressed. So you're in the key of B major. And what that phrase right there is, that's a la ti do. Right? What's funny is, let me just dork out here for a
Yeah,
minute.
talk out.
All right. So if you're, what happens is chords aren't always 3 notes. They're not always 4 notes.
Yeah.
2 notes can represent a chord. And one of the things that's really common to use is to go between the relative major and the relative minor. They're both substitutions for the 1 chord. But what's really beautiful here is in just that melody note. So if I'm on Do, B, La's relative major, relative minor. And then T, right, is encompassed in your 5 chord. But they don't play the full 5 chord. So they go 1, then they go to relative minor, 6, and then they give you the 5 by hitting the characteristic note, which gives you this whole chord, but they don't do it cheesy like that. They just go la ti, and it wants resolution back to 1.
It's great.
Yeah.
And I always love on the guitar when they're just sitting on here and then you suspend the chord and add the 7. So you're keeping the same chord in there the whole time. So you're moving just a tiny bit, but you just
Yeah.
get that little raise.
I call that moving without moving.
Yeah, I've
Do you know what I
spoken
mean?
about this before on the channel. It's just that floating 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, but you keep the suspensions in there.
Yeah, but it's so much. When I go 1/4, it's like this.
Yeah.
Or
See, it's on the guitar.
When you do it, it sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You know, disclaimer: I do not play a guitar. That's why when he does it, I go, "Oh, that's
I've
cool.
got
I love
one
that."
thing up on this guy.
You know what I mean? All right.
Someone only.
Yeah, like I said, it's a very dull sonic sound just from that rubber bridge guitar. And that filter there.
It's straight for the concrete.
So now you got the 16th note delays as well that are giving it a groove
Yes.
without
no
having a high
drums.
subdivision like hi-hat or anything.
Yeah, no.
But you still get it because
Yeah, you still got rhythmic movement.
from the delays, the production.
Back to school, we can burn out in the freezing cold and just.
Nice breath.
Oh, chaos. So now you've lost tempo, and there's
And the pitch is modulating
the
too.
pitch is modulating, so you're losing center.
Oh, come. Okay, they bring it back. I wasn't sure if it was going to
Then
change.
explodes
or not.
into major.
Sways you. There's the minor.
Yeah, this one does at the end. She does touching the vocals into the relative minor.
And there's not many different melodic motifs. You just keep bringing back in
It
the right
stays pretty
spots.
much within the measure of a tenth. And this one, as opposed to the other one, does touch into the relative minor and also doesn't stay just in the pentatonic scale. Because you got that fa mi re, right? So if you
And she really held it too.
yeah, because that's just it. Beauty is that which is rare.
That's what I really love. You know, you don't always have to just have a drum kick on. You know, you can.
No, one of my biggest problems with songwriters is when they play the chords and the melody, and then all of the rest of the instrumentation is like an afterthought. And I think the antithesis of that would be like Bjork. Do you know what I mean? Where she sings on top of it, but the world underneath that. Trent Reznor, a great example.
Right.
You know, of 9 Inch Nails. right?
Yeah.
Where there's a whole world built. They've actually given time to think about it rather than. And I've seen those drummers on stage where they're just bored out of their mind. You know, there's a difference between being a good poet and then being a songwriter. And
Yeah.
in a song, there's all of those components.
Exactly.
You've got three obviously intelligent women. Is that the rhythmic structure and the sonic structure, not just the melody and
Yeah.
what you're singing about, is given enough respect to make the song intriguing.
It's great. It's very cohesive with the way the harmonies flowing, bringing the da-da-da when it needs to come in between the sections to really like lift ourselves over to the next bit. And usually after that, they'd usually sort of bring in a couple more voices.
Well, here's the interesting thing is if I said to you, we're in the studio and I go, look, I'm in the key of B, all right? And this is the melody, by the way. You say that's boring as all hell. What are you doing? What am I paying you for? That's nothing. But when you have someone who's puts their emotions and soul into that, brings that to life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
delivered beautifully, recorded beautifully. Reminds me a lot of Phoebe's Scott Street on what's the name? The Stranger in the Alps on Scott Street. That had the very similar thing going on with the drums, right? Where it's just like a do, do. But because of all the layers of the effects and stuff, like, and the delays bring out some groove within that, and it sort of gets the subdivisions going a little further. I think that's really interesting.
As long as you think, especially when you have a team like this, it's like, okay, what is the overall whole, the whole that we're building?
Yeah.
And I think one of the problems I find a lot, the guitar rhythm, which would be quarter notes, and then just the vocals are sung. And then there's this whole other part of the world of musicianship that's missing.
Yeah,
Not
it's
in
awesome.
this case, obviously.
It's beautiful. I think it's the most Phoebe out of these songs, which is why she probably took the lead out of all of those. So if you're interested in that kind of music, you should check Phoebe
I'm
Bridges,
going. Once
man.
I get home, I will.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Next track.
All right, next track.
Cool. Last track is True Blue. I like the Aussie. I don't know if that was meant to be an Australian reference because we say that all the time in Australia. You're True Blue Australian.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
you didn't-
No, look, I'm still learning all the terms.
Yeah.
Reckon.
Let's have a look in the credits. We have, looks like the same crew over all of it. Beautiful. All right. Final track. See how
Final
they close
track.
things out. I will admit, I've heard this and it's great. MIDI with that suspension here.
In a deadly heat, you say you're a winter bitch, but summer's in your blood. You can't help but be.
So they're kind of featured a different girl on each song. Lucy's.
Which gives it like a different quality for different chapters. But by keeping the same producers, you
Yeah.
get the same overall sound. All of these songs are in major keys, which is really uplifting. It's funny, it's easy to write in a minor key, but when you keep it up in a major key and you can still convey that kind of conviction, kudos to you.
happy, and I wasn't surprised to be known so
So a lot more simple in the harmony here. I
you
think
got
it's
the
the
one.
vocal arrangement that's really doing it for me.
Then you go down to the 5 chord of D major, but you don't go anywhere in the 4, so you get that suspension, then you're back to the 1.
breaking a sweat on your upper lip.
And you get.
And what is that? Is
there's
that
a
the guitar?
up here somewhere. So it's got that trebly guitar. That's almost helping with the groove, the drum kit, right?
Goes to the relative minor. Okay.
So it's with that guitar that you
Pronounced.
mentioned. When you have some kind of pattern like that,
Yeah.
that's just kind of sitting.
Yeah, it's
Just
like
really
an
constant.
ostinato.
Yeah, and they actually, a lot of the time, you'll see that mixed with a lot more of that, the pick noise in
Yeah.
it. They keep that sort of scratchiness to it, and it acts as like a percussion instrument as well.
What's funny is, one is definitely true because the drums, while they're there, what's giving you that kind of driving forward energy is that rhythmic ostinato. But what's really interesting is when you've got this here, that's the third that they're hitting, and how that strikes against the other chords. We always think that we're writing original material all the time, but we're not using, those kind of chords in pop music because, while they're out there, they don't resonate.
No.
And 90% of contemporary music will fall from the 1, then it goes to the 5, then to the 4, or some permutation therein. And what I would recommend is for every chord that you have like that G major, and they do it in this song, when they go to the 4, rather than going back to the 1, they go to the relative minor. And then it's
Yeah.
just exquisite, and that's called deceptive resolution. But you can do it to every single chord has a relative minor. That 4 chord, C major, relative minor is A. That 5 chord, D major, the relative minor is B. So when you think about your second drafts of your songs, you can do that immediate kind of interchange, chordal interchange with the relative minor. I understand the idea of having that 8th, 9th month baby and having the upteenth times of rewriting and rewriting. And if you're looking for kind of fresh things to give your tunes, your songs, some kind of momentum, doing that chordal interchange between major and minor, as what Jake says with Taylor Swift is a great example. And that'll give you motion going through your song so that people stay engaged.
But it feels good to be
On the guitar, generally we invert that 5 as well, just so you get that bass coming down.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Then we drop to the
So you keep that 5 up there on the top. First position.
almost in every case on a guitar we'll do that.
Well, I'm learning. I'm going to steal that.
Ooh, the push in the vocal, right? So you've got Phoebe and Julie, and I'm just feeling the air. Because Lucy, the lead in this, she's got like a real, like a round voice.
They're really driving home the 5 and the 3rd, the B and the D, because they're common tones in line.
Yeah.
Right there on that 4 chord.
It's just crazy, you know?
Yeah,
Like, it's nothing.
It's just nice
it's
to
nothing
see.
Crazy.
Well, if you to see 7th chords in writing, but using it as a tension, that really nice little touch. That's really interesting. So we have going on the 1 chord, right, which is straight. Now I'm using your idea on the 5 chord. I'm so stealing this.
Sure.
So you got first inversion. So you've got an ostinato still going in that
Yeah.
top note, which the ear always hears
Yeah.
the top note of a chord.
Yeah.
Then when she drops down, or they drop down to the 1 chord, what's happening, on the 4 chord, what's happening with the triad is the melody is just leaning on the sound of a C major 7, which is this sound chord. Now, I hate it when people do this, but they'll be like, oh, that's a jazz chord. Of course, it sounds like, I get it. It sounds like a jazz chord. But chords don't have a particular, they're not rooted to that, only that. A little bit of sophistication, hitting that 7th, just in the melody, and then drops it back down to the 5th of the chord, which also has dual function of being home. Sto, do. So it brings you home through, I can't remember the term, where you have the note and the chords change underneath you.
A pedal tone.
Yeah, no, there's something, oblique motion.
Bleak motion.
Yes, yes.
Gotcha.
The term, don't get stuck on terms.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of people use musical terms to make yourself sound smarter than you are. What you really need to know is this.
Tell them the secret, man.
Do, mi, re, do, la, do, so, mi, re, mi, re, do, la, do, so, la, do, re, do. I keep my music that guttural, so it's just deep in my body. I'm not like, oh, this is the sharp 9, whatever. I don't hear that, but I hear this.
Yeah. Yeah, very cruisy song.
Yeah,
There's
really,
nothing
really
complicated
beautiful
about
work.
it.
So, just to recap some of the things that I think we've seen here, this is beautiful, okay? And now, as professionals, you want to articulate what aspects of it make it beautiful, and you write that on a list. I go, okay, write me a song or a composition in that style. The other thing that we're doing is we're using 16th note patterns, both when it was using that with the effect in the first tune,
Yeah.
or in the second tune where it was using that 16th ostinato on the guitar. So
true.
we've got rhythmic development going on without using the classic sound of drums.
Yeah.
We really feel that. So these are all the anomalies that make this album and this work exceptional. You can look at that and say, oh, if I want to sound like this individual, here is my laundry list of what makes these things unique. These are the anomalies.
And then you throw your own little special sauce.
Yeah,
in
and then
there,
you put it
then there
into
you
like,
go.
you know, your breakups and your
Yeah.
sadness and your worries about
Simple,
whatever and
right?
your love and your joy.
Yeah.
And that mixes into you. But
Simple.
that's how we grow by
Yeah.
learning and listening to other artists. You know, I'm an archaeologist. You know,
Yeah.
I don't need to be able to play that song exactly. That's personally, that's not what I do for a living is, you know, doing the covers and getting it. But I'll go in with an ice pick and be like, I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. I'm going to take that. And then I create, giving
Yeah.
thanks to either colleagues or ancestors on the music that's come before me.
That's fantastic, man. Yeah, cool. Well, I think we'll just sort of wrap up our thoughts on the work as a whole.
Yeah.
If you made it this far, it was only 3 tracks, but drop a whole album gang in the comments. Yeah, let's wrap up our thoughts. All right, guys. Yeah, that was The Record by Boy Genius. I don't know if I can pick a favorite. Probably the second one. Emily, I'm sorry. Just for me, I love Phoebe Bridgers, and she took the lead on that song. So
Yeah, I'm still intrigued with the first song because of the 5/4 feeling, and
Yeah.
I think one of my meditations, particularly on that first song, was how it stayed stubbornly in major. Intensity of the performance combined with the rhythmic values, combined with the sonic quality, transcendental sonic qualities. I felt like I really went somewhere with that, and that was
Yeah.
a well-written song.
yeah, it's a greatly written song. I think these guys, when they're working together, it's really different to their. You can tell the influences from their own solo careers, which you wouldn't have heard. But when they come together, something special gets added. And I think a lot of it has to do with the vocal arrangement. You get that 3-part harmony going on, and they really sort of stick to a lot of
Well,
that.
you just have so many different minds. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many producers on.
I didn't
this, and
realize
there's so
there was this many
writers.
producers.
I thought it was.
didn't-
I mean, I'm just laughing here. I came in to do an interview with you to talk about this, but I'm walking away going, "Oh yeah, okay." So the first one's root, and then
Yeah.
most times the second one's that inversion there. Oh, that's thank you.
You ask any guitarist,
Write
man.
that down and take that. You know what I mean?
use that.
I just saw a post the other day where it really talked about the artistic community and about how healing and important that is. I hang out with Jake professionally in a lot of studios. And I can't tell you how many times we've run into each other and I've been like, hey, this melodic major thing,
Yeah,
check
man.
this out. And the reason why it's so joyous, for me, I find it beautiful. And my friends, they're like, Martin, can you shut up? We don't care. You know? So when you have like a group of people that you work with, we just dork out on
Yeah,
it. So
no.
I really highly recommend, in addition to listening to, you know, Jake's videos and the work that he's doing, in addition to checking out other materials, in addition to analysis, is really getting yourself a good posse, a good group of fellow collaborators. It's that kind of dynamic that just nurtures both your soul as an artist and massively helps you out professionally make it in this industry.
There you go. Wise words from the master, man. It was a pleasure having you on.
to see you,
because
Jake.
you can talk out quicker than I can, man. So it was awesome to have. Yeah, guys, let us know what you thought in the comments. If you got any recommendations, anything that you think we missed. There was a lot of talking this video compared to a lot of others. Something new for the channel, but if you did like it and you do want to see Martin again, please let us know. I'm always happy to have him.
I'd be an honor to be back.
This guy's like, he genuinely is a musical genius. And so if you think you might have something that might challenge Martin, maybe we should do something like that.
An analysis challenge. Oh,
We'll
that
see,
all
we'll
right,
see.
all right. If you give us an analysis challenge, I will step up and to do that. That would be that's
Yeah.
a good game.
Cool.
All right,
That could be
all right.
fun. Yeah. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching as always. And again, if you didn't before, you can click the subscribe button down below and join the Discord in the description. That's all from us, guys. I hope you enjoy your week. We'll see you in the next one.
Take care and hope to see you soon. Cheers.
Peace.